Good to know.
Okay, we are in theory live. But I need some proof that I exist from the outside world. Will somebody, anybody, tell me that I exist? Or am I just a brain floating in a jar somewhere? Nope, nobody's going to tell us I exist. Aha! Malcolm just said hello.
No, cool.
All right. And Colin Jones just gave me a high five. And there it is, back at you, Colin. Just remember that now's your chance to say hello. Say hello in the chat, and then in about a minute, I'll say hello to all of you. You get to hear me say your name. Whoa.
So many people.
Our intro said, I don't know what you said. I don't even know. What does that even mean? Aw, thanks, Dave the Dinosaur. I love that you love our show.
What?
I am a figment of your imagination. Yeah, Nico Graham, you know that you exist, but you don't know if I exist. Or any of us exist. Where are you, Dave?
I am currently back in Florida right now. Finally, we just got back to the U.S. about a week ago.
Yeah.
We're rebuilding our life here again. So.
Are you done with the big trip?
For now, I think this year we're going to be more down toward the U.S. Southeast for now. We may, toward the end of the year, travel again. But
come to Canada anytime you're ready.
Hey, we have family up there, so.
I know.
Only up toward the Maritimes, the other side of the country, so.
It's only 4,000 kilometers away from here.
Exactly. It's only got to get warmer first, though.
It's fine there. They're warm.
Yeah.
We're cold out here, but they're warm out there. All right, that's it. You had your chance to say hello to me, and now I'm going to say hi to you. Hello to Adam Synergy, Adam Dowland, Benjamin Valamont, Bill Kay, Billy Gordon, Brittany Wedd, Colin James, Dave the Dinosaur, David Dunn, Illad Avron, Eric Schneider, Giselle Sabarin, Graham Walbridge, Guido Bieber, Helge Bjerkog, Himanshu Dalawal, Hugo Burnham, Ignatiy Romanov Cherengovsky, James Haney, Jeff Harold, Jim Meeker, John Suffill, Jorn Albert, JPATM, oh, that's a tough one, Julius Santonius, Lillian Brennan, Linda Sadek, Malcolm Bond, Michael Jobin, Neville Van, Nico Graham, Quickie Koala, our Instro, Ranko Prozo, Cole. Hey, Ranko, good to see you. Ronald McCoy, Stephen McCullough, Susan Hunter, Susan Murph, Tak Tang, Tom Van Scotter, William Van de Beek, Yov Landsman, who's here, Eunice Sofrey, and Zapfan. Awesome.
I'm here.
You're part of the show. You're part of the chat.
You're everywhere.
The lines are blurring. Where are we at? It's 12:05. I think it's time to begin. Right. I'm going to remove the Brady Bunch mode. Wait, what? There we go. Okay. Whoa. And I'm going to go to me. And I'm going to just say... What day is it today? It's the 6th of January.
Yeah, we're already a week into 2017.
We're not, though. We're not quite.
Quite. Just about.
All right, well, here goes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Space Hangout for Friday, January 6th, 2017. 2017. That's crazy. I'm Fraser Kane, publisher of Universe Today. Once again, it's time for the Weekly Space Hangout. This week is going to be a little different than our normal week. Last episode, we looked back and reminisced about the both what a terrible year 2016 was, but also all of the big and interesting space news that happened. 2017, we're going to look forward. We're going to anticipate and get excited about the big things that are going to be happening this year. So that's going to be the major part of what we're going to be talking about. Joining me this week, we've got Dave Dickinson. David, welcome.
Hey there. I'm alive. I'm back here in the States. So.
And you are back, right, from your travels?
Yes, we spent most of the past year in Spain, Morocco, and United Kingdom. So mostly in Spain, 2 months in Morocco and 2 months in the United Kingdom. So a lot of fun. We personally had a good year last year. The only bad part was catching pneumonia at the very end of the year when I came back.
I could hear this in your voice. I can see that you're still a little.
I'm yay science and antibiotics. I'm finally starting to kick it right now. So
We've got Yov Landsman. Yov.
Hey,
Where?
live from Israel.
Live. Oh, wait, there he is. Okay, live from Israel.
Yes.
There we go. Hold on. Try talking again. Sorry. Technology. Where are you?
Live from Israel.
Awesome. Where it's like the far, far future, right? You're like 12 hours ahead of us?
It's already night here. It's 10 p.m.
You are a trooper. And we've got a special guest this week, astronaut Abby. Abby, welcome to the Weekly Space Hangout. Finally.
Hi, Fraser. Thanks for having me. I'm glad that we were able to set this up.
That is awesome. Okay, so first things first, we're going to talk to Abby, but before we do, I just want to remind everybody of a couple of things. Number one, this is a live show that we're doing right now, unless you're watching it after the fact, and then it's not live, and all the things I'm about to say are meaningless to you, but this is live, so go ahead, post any questions that you have in the YouTube chat, and we will try to watch them and pass them along as we get there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a huge thank you, as always, to the WSH crew. This is, of course, the producers, the executive producers of the show. These are the people who really make it happen behind the scenes. I'm assuming they invited Abby. I didn't. They decided it was going to happen, and here we are interviewing her. So if there are guests, space guests that you want to see us talk to, take your involvement in this show to the next level and join the WSH crew. So just go to wshcrew.space, I believe, now works, and you can join the conversation, become one of our executive producers, and participate in the chat that's going on right down here. So, awesome. All right, let's get on with the interview. So, Abby, welcome to the Weekly Space Hangout. Who are you, and what do you do?
Wow, what a question to start off that is. So as you mentioned, I go by the name Astronaut Abby on a lot of social media channels, but I'm a 19-year-old college student at Wellesley College doing a double major in Astrobiology and Russian. I have been hosting a variety of social media channels, including my website, astronautabby.com, since I was about 13, chronicling my journey towards becoming an astronaut and eventually the first person to walk on Mars.
Yeah, sorry, just to interrupt you, but I mean, it's so funny when I think of the people who have been doing this for a long time. You're one of the people who has been sort of in the sphere, in our sort of larger social space nerd group, and you've been doing this for 6 years. From when you were 13 years old, here you are now, 19 years old, in university, steady as she goes. That's still the plan. You're going to be an astronaut.
Yeah, and it goes back farther than that. I've known that I wanted to be an astronaut and travel to Mars for, honestly, as long as I can remember, probably since I was about 5 or 6 years old. It's the kind of thing that, whenever people asked me when I was little, what do you want to do when you grow up? I immediately had an answer because it was something that I just knew in my heart that I wanted to do. And it hasn't changed over these 19 years. So still going towards that.
All right. So then just to put people in perspective on this journey, I mean, you are in your undergraduate right now. You're taking astrobiology and Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Why those two choices?
So astrobiology is a combination of astronomy and biology, specifically looking at the biology of life in space, obviously. When I originally went into university or college, I thought that I was going to perhaps do an astrophysics or perhaps an aeronautical engineering degree. And that's because for a long time, I thought that in order to be an astronaut, those were my best options or my best fields to go into. But my interests and passions had always actually fell within biology. And so as I met people within the industry and really learned more about what it takes to become an astronaut, I realized that it's more important to follow what you are passionate and excited about than it is to follow a predetermined route that you think will get you to a destination. So I ended up choosing to do astrobiology instead. And it's actually a self-made major at my college because we don't have an astrobiology program like many undergraduate schools. So it's something that I came up with. I got advisors on board, submitted a proposal to my college, all of that. And then the Russian is the Russian major is a portion of back when I was, 14 or 15 years old, I was looking ahead at my future and trying to decide what languages I thought would be important in the future of human space travel about 20 years down the road. And I came up with a list of English, which I already spoke, Mandarin Chinese, which I took in high school, Russian, and Arabic. And so after having taken Mandarin in high school, I decided upon entering college to tackle the next one on the list, Russian.
Well, congratulations. That sounds pretty tough. Although easier than Mandarin, I hear.
People say that, but I found Mandarin to be a little bit easier than Russian because the grammar in Russian is pretty tricky, whereas Mandarin, the grammar's more straightforward in my opinion.
And so if all goes well then, when will you actually apply for, I'm assuming you're going to apply for the NASA astronaut corps. When do you think that application will happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm looking at about 10 years down the road from now for applying to that. I plan to finish my undergraduate degree and then go into a PhD program after that. Upon finishing my PhD, I want to spend a couple years working in the industry as an astrobiologist, hopefully doing research with either NASA or a related organization, and then applying to the astronaut corps. Along the way, there are other things that I am doing, such as learning languages, getting my private pilot's license, and scuba diving, those types of things to try and increase my likelihood of being chosen.
I think it's always amazing, when we see the astronauts and we sort of look at their credentials and what they've been able to do, they're all sort of the best of the best. These people have, sometimes multiple degrees. They were test pilots at, with the Navy and things like that. But it's great to see somebody start at the beginning, publicly show the path that they're taking step by step by step. So a person can see that if you do want it badly enough, what, showing you putting in the effort. And I think that applies not just to what you're doing, but literally to any profession or interest that a person may have in the world, that it's a step-by-step process over the course of a long period of time. And I think kudos to you. I'm going to show my children this as a way to sort of help them encourage and help them achieve their goals.
Thank you. I love that you brought that up because I have a lot of young people, especially who reach out to me, and some of them are people like me who are interested in becoming an astronaut, and they ask me, what can I do? What advice can you give me? Those types of things. But I would say that I also have an equal number of people who I've met or who have reached out to me who have said, I want to be a musician, or I want to be an athlete, or I want to be a teacher, or any number of other professions. And they've said that getting to watch the journey that I'm on and me being so public about everything has inspired them in their own field, or has shown them, hard work and those types of things within their own niche that they're going into. And so I love the idea that by broadcasting something like this, we have the potential to inspire people in fields other than space travel as well.
And even if for some reason your plans change, anything that increases your connections, increases your ability and your options is always just a good thing. Like, no matter what happens, so you may find, you get to the end of your PhD and you're just like super excited with just the astrobiology and you just want to do the work here on Earth. I mean, it's just that as long as you can keep keeping your options open, find more connections with people, it's all good. So now 2016, man, it's been so long. 2016 was a pretty crazy year because we mentioned this in the Space Hangout last week or last year, that Elon Musk came along and took all of our collective hopes and dreams about human civilization on Mars and just said, oh, okay, I'm going to give this to you tomorrow, as opposed to having to wait the 20, 30, 50, 100 years for this long, complicated colonization effort to begin. We're just going to make it happen today. So how did that all make you feel when you heard his kind of very real plans to send human colonists to Mars within, by 2024 on Elon Musk time?
Right. And I think that that's an interesting way to put it, is Elon Musk time, which means that we're saying 2024, but perhaps he means 2034. I was really excited when I heard that. I love the idea of private industry getting involved in space exploration, and I love anything that brings space exploration to the front of people's minds and gets it in the public and gets people excited and whatnot about it. However, while I think that that's really a positive thing that he's doing by having these big goals and taking the steps towards them, I think that Elon Musk and SpaceX are a little bit overly optimistic in their plans. So my personal belief is that it will take us longer than 7 years, which is what we're at right now for 2024, to put humans on Mars. I think that we are definitely looking at the 2030s at the earliest. But if somebody wants to go and prove me wrong on that, I would be overjoyed to see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ideally you'd be one of the first people to set foot on Mars, but to celebrate somebody setting foot on Mars would be great too. So how do you feel about this sort of these two concepts? Like the one being the sort of the NASA exploration where astronauts go visit the surface for some period of time, hop back on their spacecraft, return to Earth, a la The Martian, as opposed to it's essentially a one-way trip. You're not planning to come home. Maybe some future capabilities will happen down the road, but for the while, it's just going to be where you go and live. Do you have a preference in that?
I do have a preference in that. I am very much a fan of the two-way trip option. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one is that I think right now we do not have the capability to sustain human life on Mars for any reasonable period of a human lifespan. And I think that it is unethical to send humans into a situation where we know that we are in essence sending them on a suicide mission. To add to the ethical quandaries that come with something like that, I think that there's also a lot of public image that you have to face with a mission like that, where that is the quickest way to kill public support and approval for space travel, is by having astronauts die in space. And so I think that any mission that involves sending humans to Mars also needs to have a reasonable plan to either retrieve the humans back to Earth or to provide for their continued life on Mars for the rest of their lifespan, however long that may be for that particular human. I also think that we have a responsibility to humanity on Earth to be the heroes and the inspiration that inspires people, especially students and young people, to want to do big things and to do great things. And a big part of that comes from coming back. The Apollo astronauts would have had a much smaller impact on our society and on the community that we have right now if they had never come back and talked about their experiences in public. And so I think that that's almost an equal benefit of space travel to the scientific advances that we'll have. Scientific and technological is also the public advances that we end up having as a result of returning astronauts to Earth.
How do you feel about other targets as well? I mean, all the emphasis has been on Mars. As people who watch the show know that I'm a big proponent of the orbital options, learning to live in space. The moon is close. It's great. How do you feel, if you could run NASA and direct human exploration efforts, where would you be focusing efforts?
Well, of course, my first focus would be Mars, but I do think that there are a lot of other really interesting places in our solar system that hold a lot of potential and a lot of value to us in the position that we're in right now with our space program. So things like you mentioned, going back to the moon, maybe visiting Lagrange points, something like that, to set up a more Earth-reliant space station than we have right now, but still closer than, for example, Mars. Or if you want to go the opposite direction of that, you can go farther than Mars, and you can say that perhaps we should be visiting some of the Jovian moons, such as Europa or Ganymede or Io, those types of places, and searching for the potential of extraterrestrial life. I mean, there is so much out there right now that we could be doing. It's hard to really pick a favorite and pinpoint something. and that's part of why I don't run NASA, is
You wouldn't be able to choose.
because I just want to go
Yeah.
everywhere.
Well, I always feel like the way to go is to create overall infrastructure, right? That have as many, like what Grumpy is saying there, which is like focus on infrastructure, better launch vehicles, space stations that can handle, technologies that can handle living in space longer, structures that will work, methods of creating permanent structures on any place you can work with the regolith, be it on the moon or on Mars. That there's sort of this, that overall just infrastructure can sort of take the whole process further. What about on the science effort? I'm sure as an astrobiologist, or that's your career path, what aspects of astrobiology are you interested in? What are some of the exciting new things being explored there?
That is a great question, and it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. So astrobiology has a couple of different ways that you can go with that. You can go the direction that most people immediately think of when you say astrobiology, which is talking about extraterrestrial life forms and trying to find either past, present, or future possibility for or evidence of these extraterrestrials. But there's also the other side of it, which people don't as often think about, which is that astrobiology can refer to looking at and researching the way that the life that we purposefully put into space exists. And so that can range everything from things as small as microbes all the way up to entire humans. And so I'd say that my interests are equally divided between the possibility of finding extraterrestrial life, extremophiles, those types of things in our solar system, and looking at how we can use the knowledge that we're gaining from things like the shuttle program and the space station to increase our abilities to travel further in the future. So things like how do we keep humans healthy for a 3-year mission? How do we make it so that we're capable of becoming more and more and more Earth independent, or advancing us into this future sphere that we'd like to be in.
Well, so now I've got an ethical dilemma for you here, which is that on the one hand, you want to be an astronaut and you want to be one of the people who sets foot on Mars. On the other hand, you want to be an astrobiologist and help study and I'm assuming protect the life that is perhaps on other planets. So how do you deal with that ethical dilemma personally?
Well, I would say that the first step to dealing with that ethical dilemma is realizing that becoming an astronaut is it's a shot in the dark. It's a very unlikely thing to happen. It's something that, you have to have another career plan that you are relying on and that you love and are passionate about, so that let's say you don't become an astronaut. Let's say you're not one of the 1 out of 10,000 who apply who end up becoming an astronaut. Well, you'll have something that you still really love to do. And then there's also the fact that even when astronauts are not in space, they continue to do work within their field. So a very small portion of an astronaut's career is actually spent training for or in space. A lot of their time is spent working at NASA in their own field. As far as when I become an astronaut, balancing those two things, that idea of protecting the life that could possibly be on one of these planets. I have a lot of faith in the decontamination processes that we likely would use if we were to, want to step foot on Mars or any other extraterrestrial body. It's something that I don't think we need to be too concerned with contaminating the surface, because we will have procedures in place to make sure that doesn't happen.
But what if we do find a rich and vibrant ecosystem on Mars, and that will run kind of counter to us attempting to colonize and habitat the red planet? Like at a certain point, we're going to wreck it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting ethical question. And a lot of times people phrase that in a way of, look at what we've already done to Earth. Do we really deserve to do that to another planet? I think that that's something that once we get there, and if we were to find that there was a vibrant community of life teeming, let's say under the surface of Mars or in some crevice that we explore, we'd have to consider that then. As of now, I think that we can definitely find ways to balance our thirst for scientific knowledge and for those types of things with our belief in doing no harm to the environment. I'm not super concerned about colonization or any of those types of things, because I think that as a society, we are not quite at the point where we would have the technological capabilities, the funding, or the public push to want to do colonization or changing, terraforming or anything like that. So I would say that that's a concern for somewhat farther into the future.
So I've got a couple of questions for you from the people watching. This one comes from Ignatiy Romanov-Chernigovsky. How close are you to getting a PPL? Is that the license, the pilot's license? How close are you to getting your pilot's license?
So I actually just started training for my private pilot's license last week. I came home over winter break and went on my first flight and started setting up a schedule of flying, and we'll be starting to study for the exam. It's just like it's very similar to getting a driver's license in the sense that you have to have a certain number of hours flying, but you also have to pass a written exam to make sure that you have all the necessary knowledge to do so. So I'm at the very beginning of that process, but I hope to complete it within the next year.
Man, I'm jealous on that front as well. It's funny, Mike, here in Canada, they've got, you can essentially get your pilot's license and your glider's license for free if you join the Air Cadets. And there's no military requirement after you are part of the Air Cadets. You don't have to go into the military. And so my daughter was in the Air Cadets for like 1 month. And then she was like, this is stupid. I'm not going to do it anymore. So I was like, there goes the idea of her getting a pilot's license. But now, or I guess I have to pay for it.
Wow, what a program to have! Like,
I know.
That is pretty cool.
I wish we had that.
Similar.
It's. I guess it's what we get for being Canadian. So I think there's something similar for anyone in the Commonwealth of British. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe the people who are in England can tell me if it's something is kind of similar there. Cool. Okay, so I think we're kind of wrapping up the interview portion of today's show, and literally we could just keep talking for hours. I think it's super exciting to sort of have a chat with somebody who's so motivated. And I can see in the chat who everybody, older than you is sort of reevaluating their life choices. So it's been awesome to get a chance to talk to you. Now, if people want to find out more, Abby, where can they find out more about what you're doing and follow your path?
Absolutely. They can join me on most social media channels under the name AstroAbby, as well as at my website, astronautabbey.com. And if you don't mind, I'd like to throw in a little bit of a plug right now for my nonprofit, which I haven't had a chance to mention yet. But I'm also the founder of the nonprofit, the Mars Generation. You can find the Mars Generation at the marsgeneration.org.
You've got a badge there, I think, under your hair.
That is true. I always forget that long hair ends up covering it up. But yeah, this is our patch. And we're an organization that's focused on exciting and inspiring young people in space exploration and STEM, and hopefully building this groundswell of, public support and excitement so that in 20 years we have enough students who have followed STEM careers to be able to, continue to grow our space program and to do all of these big ideas that we have, these things like traveling to Mars, to have the people who have the necessary technical backgrounds to do that. So the Mars Generation, one of our big programs is that we provide 10 full paid scholarships. This includes tuition, travel, expenses to Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, awesome.
For students with low income. And so we are closing our scholarship applications on January 15th. And if there's anyone out there who's listening who thinks that they are a student who would like to go to Space Camp, or they know a student of financial need who would like to go to Space Camp, they should definitely head on over to the marsgeneration.org/scholarships to learn more about that.
And what about the other side, which is if people want to contribute to get other people, to help raise the amount of money that's in that scholarship fund? I'm assuming you're looking for more donors?
Always. We are always looking for more donors. These scholarships, as well as the other programs that the Mars Generation runs, are so important, but they're also expensive. And so every donor and donation is greatly appreciated. Once again, you can go to the marsgeneration.org and you'll find information there about how you can either donate or become a member of the Mars Generation.
Awesome.
which I would highly encourage.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Abby. It was total inspiration. Like I said, we're all reevaluating our life choices, going to see how we can catch up. But you've already got a head start on all of us. It was a total honor to talk to you, and come back maybe before you actually are on your way to Mars, but maybe come back sometime and give us an update.
I would love to. Thank you, Fraser. I really enjoyed it. You asked a lot of different questions from the ones I usually get in interviews, so it was a great.
Good. So you legitimately meant it when you said good question. All right.
Yep.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right, let's move on to the news portion of the week. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to talk about some of the news items, and then we're going to switch into the let's get excited about 2017. So first, I guess this is kind of 2017 related. Dave Dickinson, let's talk about the book that you wrote.
Yes. Fraser approached me in late July of last year. Now it's last year, while I'm in Morocco, about something we had talked about for a few years. I had done a guide to the coming year in astronomy for Universe Today for the last few years, 101 events, and I've done it in some form or another since 2008. I think it started as a top 10 on my own site, Astro Guys, and it's grown and grown every year. People have given me inputs and things. They're like, why are you putting this in there? Or like, why don't you have this? And things like that. So I thought about it for a day or two. I did a couple of test pages and I thought, okay, I think I could probably get this done by early December. What we did is we took every event, instead of having it bullet pointed, we expanded it out to most of the events are only a one pager. Some of them, like the eclipse, the big main events, are 2 or 3 pagers. And we took and put some news stories in there, some things that have been rattling around my head for the history of astronomy or solar observing or satellite observing or things like that. So we had a little more prose in there. Put some factoids in little tidbits in there, historical bits of information to kind of dress up some of these posts. Even some, there's even a little bit of poetry in there here and there.
I saw that.
Where warranted.
Well, I thought it was editing it, yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool. And, with all those occultation events, it was hard to keep a running list of factoids or occultations. I really was starting to do some digging and researching to find some really interesting bits, because we have occultations of Aldebaran and Regulus along with all the planetary and lunar occultations this coming year. But there's occultations, conjunctions. I'd like to do more with the graphics next time. I experimented a little bit with some to make them nice and black and white and clean graphics that I wanted in there for the maps. But ultimately, I had to get the writing done too, so I couldn't play with the graphics for too long. I'm routinely in awe of, like, say, what Bob King does for his graphics and things like that. So that's kind of the standard that I'm striving toward right now. And like Guy Otwell does in his astronomical almanac as well.
Yeah. So just to let people know, so you called this 101 astronomical events in 2017. I believe I at some point mistyped it as for 2017. I think we can go either way on this. Now, this is a total experiment. So I paid for it, and we're giving it away for free, totally free. So there's no advertisements in it. There's no, I don't want your email address. Like, just go grab the book. It's 220 pages long, has 101 events, plus like cool challenges every month and interesting, as you say, history pieces. And the question is whether we're ever going to do this again. And that is up to all of you who like this kind of thing. So, if we get, and I will sort of decide in my brain what is the right amount of downloads of the book.
Yeah.
If we get that, then I knew that we made an impact. Then we got this information out, and people are able to use this to sort of plan their year and take advantage of all these astronomical events. And if not, then we just won't do it again. So the pressure is on you now. We did our part. Dave wrote a book for you, and I'm giving it to you for free, and that is
I did that on this same 13-inch laptop because I was traveling while I was doing this. So I was in Morocco, UK, in Spain, so I had no home. Well, I had one home office when I was in UK, Henley on the Thames. At one point we were doing a house sit, and they had an actual office with monitors, and I'm like, can I plug into your monitors so I can use these? So I use those every day for the 2 weeks we were there, but otherwise 13-inch laptop and the phone, that's all I had for external office support to do it.
I can't believe my productivity just goes out the window when I'm on the road.
But there was no distractions either. That was a good thing. The internet was kind of up and down where we were in Spain and Andalusia, but it was just, it was just the rolling foothills and the sheep and the goats outside, and so I'd just sit out there and work and do use the planetarium programs and do the research. So there wasn't a lot to distract us either.
Yeah. So let's give some people a few highlights. What are like the big things that they should be looking forward to this year?
Well, one cool thing is Saturn its rings are at maximum tilt this year. And that comes around Saturn orbits every 29 years. So every half of that, about every 14 to 15 years, the rings, they go from edge on to their widest tilt and then edge on again. And then we see the other hemisphere. So this year we're seeing Saturn's rings at their widest tilt October, but they're going to be the widest. So it's at its most photogenic right now. And the last time was like 2003. We're also, like I said, going to see a lot of occultations. Every lunation, every pass the moon makes by Regulus and Aldebaran, it's going to occult it for somewhere in the world. So that's kind of cool that we're seeing a lot of bright star occultations. There's also going to be a tight grouping of the moon, Regulus, Mars, Venus, and Mercury in early September. And I challenged Shawgazer in Malaysia, used to be in the weekly star party that we used to do every Sunday night, virtual star party. There's going to be what's called a smiley face conjunction. We took a look at this where you're going to have, I believe it's Venus and Regulus in the crescent moon actually making, but it's only going to be in Southeast Asia that you're going to see this at dawn. So I've kind of challenged him to actually get an image of this. That's the kind of weirdness that we're always looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and there's an eclipse thing going on too.
Something.
August 21st. Yeah, there's some big eclipse passing over the U.S. From the Pacific. Yeah, this is going to be a historic eclipse because we have not had a total solar eclipse pass anywhere on the United States since 1979. 1979, I was like 11, and I missed that one. So this is going to be August 21st, 2017, passing from Oregon all the way down to South Carolina. I'm probably going to be, I'm tempting hubris and probably going to be in Columbia or around Charleston or Columbia in South Carolina, where it's going to be an August afternoon where there'll probably be some clouds, but that's probably where we're going to be.
As people probably know, Pamela and I quickly set up a get-together for people in St. Louis, where she lives, and we're gonna go a little south of there and then chase the eclipse. And we mentioned that I think we have a couple of hundred slots open, and they were gone within a week or two. So unfortunately, we don't have any more room left unless we think of something really clever to let more people in. But I'm sort of concerned about whether we would make it suck. So, but whatever you're doing, wherever you are, this is the number one thing to do. Elad Avron is just mentioning in the chat that NASA just released this awesome video, and I'm gonna try and pull this up. Yeah, showing the eclipse kind of rolling across the surface of the Earth and the mountains. I loved it. I'm gonna. Yeah, can you put a link in the chat, Elad, while you're doing this, and I'll display it in the show.
And Pamela is very close to the crossover for the 2024 eclipse. That goes over my hometown of Presque Isle, Maine, so I might be up there at that point for that one. But yeah, so after decades of not having any that you had to journey to either Antarctica or outer Mongolia for an eclipse, we've got one that passes right over the central U.S. So it's going to be very cool.
Any other big events happening in 2017?
We got a few binocular comets coming up. 45P. Actually, Sandy alerted me to this one last year when I was going through and combing over binocular comets. We were talking back and forth. And 45P, I'll never be able to say the name, so I like to say 45P HMP.
Sure, that's fine.
For the comet. It's going to pass this March, I believe, 0.0 AU from the Earth. That's fairly close. It's going to be probably a binocular, maybe knocking on naked eye brightness around magnitude 4 or 5 or so.
Is this my comet?
No, okay. Not yet. We haven't had a good daylight comet or a good bright, but that kind of stuff. And I was kind of watching for that because I was kind of like, as soon as we put this book in publication, something will get cited that will be like the comet of the century coming by. So I was kind of holding off just to see. I'm always monitoring like the Minor Planet Center and all the chat boards and stuff just to see if any of these. There was another comet just discovered today too, but I haven't looked at the orbit yet. But I doubt it's we have maybe about 50 comets a year, and most of them never amount to anything. They probably like 2 or 3 become binocular comets, like we have a few right now, and we're due.
William Vanderbeek is wondering, is the book written for North Americans in mind?
No, actually, these are worldwide events. A lot of the events occur. I combed over occultations and conjunctions worldwide, so a lot of them. There's probably an event if no matter where you live. Yeah, I try not to make stuff. It's unfortunate that a lot of viewing stuff is kind of either Euro or North American centric because astronomy occurs kind of worldwide. And it's one thing that's cool with Twitter, like we're talking about with Shawgazer and people in Malaysia. We've got those eyes in those different places now that are actually out there doing photography and getting images and stuff like that. So no, it's worldwide.
So I'm just going to play this NASA video here for a second.
Of the moon shadow during the eclipse.
Michael Zeiler's made some pretty good eclipse maps too. He was the one the maps we used for this book. There's 4 eclipses this year, but that's the lighting from the sun. There's an annular eclipse next year or next month, but it's South America.
A lot of NASA products were used to create this visualization. I used the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the laser altimetry data from that, which gives us a digital map of the elevations on the moon. For the Earth, I used something called SRTM. This was a radar that was flown on the space shuttle. For the positions
and I've never actually seen a total solar eclipse either.
Sun,
neither have I.
I've seen an annular. I saw the annular in '94 from Lake Erie. Lake Erie.
It's the most
That's the closest I've seen.
Positions. This visualization.
So I can tell you that it's completely different than any other partial eclipse.
Irregular edge of the moon, the limb of the
I
moon.
just missed the 1999 one in Europe. I was moving there with the military at the time, and my rotation was like a month before the August 1999 eclipse. That was a big one too.
I've seen the one in Turkey in 2006, I think.
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Yeah, no, I've never seen a eclipse, and I cannot wait to do so. So I'm really excited. This is going to be the greatest thing. So once again, I mean, man, you're gonna think I'm nagging you, but seriously, everyone I've ever talked to, they go crazy for eclipses. You see one, and then that's all you can think about for the rest of your life. You're like making eclipses out of mashed potatoes. So, go make plans. Even if you're not in the United States, like make plans to go see this thing. It's going to be amazing.
They call them umbrophiles, people that are, Michael Zeiler and a lot of those guys, you follow the solar eclipse message board on the Yahoo groups and stuff. They travel the world to go see. That's what they plan their lives around these eclipses. They've traveled to all the different continents, Africa, Australia. David Levy, I used to know in Tucson, he went to Antarctica to see an eclipse one time.
Yeah.
So,
amazing. Yeah, and a partial eclipse just doesn't cut it. It's got to be a total one.
Yes, that's what they'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, let's move on to what's happening with SpaceX and then some other stuff as well.
Well, as you probably remember, there was a mishap.
Someone's satellite got detonated on the top of a SpaceX satellite.
Yeah, big explosion on September the 1st. And apparently SpaceX is back in business. And it's the fastest recovery ever, I think. Only 4 months since the accident. And the investigation is over, and we have results. We have conclusions.
What happened? Why was your satellite destroyed?
The blame is apparently on the helium tanks, the helium pressure vessels, and in the second stage of the rocket, of the Falcon 9, they have 2 tanks, 2 propellant tanks, one for the liquid oxygen, one for kerosene, and each have 3 helium bottles, as they call them, which are composite overwrapped pressure vessels inside the tanks. So this is very important. From here, it's a bit technical. So you have these bottles that are highly pressurized with very cold helium, and they fill the liquid oxygen inside the tank. So the pressure vessel is submerged in liquid oxygen. And the liquid oxygen is filled in very rapidly, and in very, very low temperatures. It's almost in the freezing point of the oxygen. So it's a very extreme environment for all the structure of the helium tanks. And apparently what happened is that the pressure vessel is made out of a thin aluminum liner overwrapped with composite carbon fibers, okay, to keep the strength, the structural strength against the pressure of the helium. And apparently the liquid oxygen got between the liner and the overwrap.
Okay.
Because of some buckles in the liner.
So the helium sort of got out of the middle tank, but got into the surrounding carbon fiber composite wrapping that was happening.
The structure of the tank, of the helium tank, which is inside the liquid oxygen tank, you have two layers. One aluminum liner, and the other is the overwrapped composite material. And there are buckles, so the liquid oxygen can get inside and pushed against the fibers, the composite fibers. And due to the cold temperatures of the helium, the liquid oxygen could actually freeze. And this effect could increase the friction between the liquid oxygen and the composite carbon fibers. And this friction probably caused the ignition and therefore the explosion of all the rocket. So this is actually good news, because this is a procedural matter. They can change the procedure, the process of the filling of the tank, and avoid all this to happen again. They actually started to fill the liquid oxygen tank with the very cold liquid oxygen only on the last several launches, because when it is very cold, it's very dense, so you can fill more. So the performance of the rocket will be better.
And I'm reading in the chat, Grumpy is just saying that the FAA just gave permission for the launch on Monday. So they're, in theory, back to launching rockets. Now they've gotten to the bottom of this problem. In theory, they'll have the fix in, and will be able to start launching the rockets again.
That's right. They're going to launch 10 Iridium Next satellites next week on Monday, probably. And that's it. They're back in business. They also probably have another launch this month. And if everything goes well, then they have a long line of launches this year, including the Falcon Heavy demo, which I personally...
we were promised the Falcon Heavy in 2016, but as we talked with Abby there, that's Elon Musk time. So 2017 is well within the constraints of Elon Musk time. I would say even 2018, 2019, that's still 2016.
Yes, so we need big rockets, and the Falcon Heavy will... We could see the landing of 3 first stages during this mission. So it's something to wait for.
Awesome. Okay, Dave Dickinson, let's talk about the... now, you did an article for some other publication. I forget what it was called. But you were talking about what some of the upcoming planetary missions happening this year.
The science and planetary missions. There's not many this year because we're between Mars opposition years, but there are a few, because Mars, every 26 months, you get in that. Most of the planetary missions tend to go to Mars, sometimes a few to asteroids. We also have Cassini ending its life, though, too, this year. That's going to be a
This is bad news. This is not good news.
I know. Our eyes are going dark in the outer solar system. This is really kind of sad, because after Cassini ends in September, and then New Year's Eve was 2019 New Year's Day. New Horizons does its flyby of a KBO. Really, we're not going to have any missions out there. Juno's going to end next year too. So Juno's got its 2-year mission that's going to wrap up at Jupiter. So, but happier stories. TESS is going to may launch by the end of this year or early next year.
TESS. So can you let people know what TESS is?
Is the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite. This is going to be something like Kepler, but unlike Kepler, this is going to be an all-sky survey. So this may blow the doors off. I believe we're at 4,000 or 5,000 known exoplanets now. I'm going to make an armchair prediction that we're going to be at 40 or 50,000 probably by 2020s. And it's probably going to be because of TESS. TESS is going to monitor over 200,000 stars looking for transits like Kepler. But unlike Kepler, Kepler only looked at a little patch of the Milky Way in the Cygnus, Hercules, Lyra constellation version of its field. And then the ecliptic on its K2 mission, it was scanning across the ecliptic. TESS will look at, it's got an orbit that's going to be in a 2-1 resonance around the Earth with the Earth's moon, and it's going to enable it to see the entire sky. So TESS is going to be able to expand that kind of survey out much further. It's not getting a lot of news now, but I think it's going to be a lot bigger than the Kepler mission.
Will they give it a fancy new name?
I think TESS is the name. I think that's the name for it. I don't know if they're going to rename it after launch or not. I haven't heard anything about that yet. We've also got the Chinese have been really busy. They equaled the U.S. in launches last year. We're talking about heavy rockets. They have their Long March 5 rocket already up and running. It did a test launch last year. And they're going to be launching their first X-ray telescope this year, the HXMT. They're planning a lunar sample return mission that may go as early as late this year on the Chang'e 5 mission. That's going to be using the Long March 5. There's a lot of discussion right now, speaking of heavy launch rockets. This is all conjecture about the SLS, whether that may be in jeopardy with the next administration coming in or not. That's, again, all entirely up in the air, and that's just speculation right now. And we also have OSIRIS-REx is going to be doing a flyby. I missed you guys when you came down here for the launch, as a matter of fact. I'm like, darn, everybody's down there, and I'm not in Florida now for one. OSIRIS-REx is doing a gravitational assist by the Earth on September 22nd. There'll probably be a chance for some amateurs. I haven't looked at the geometry of who's going to, it passes, I believe it's 20,000 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. So that's within the range of the geosats. So there's dedicated amateurs out there that will probably be able to spot OSIRIS-REx when it comes by. That's going to be kind of nifty. On its way to asteroid Bennu.
That would have been a good challenge. That's not in the book, is it?
No, it isn't, as a matter of fact. That would have been an interesting one. That would have probably taxed my feat of planetary software, as far as probably would have had to tap somebody at NASA to say exactly what part of the Earth is this passing over.
Well, then that's an article. That's a separate article, I think.
We've done a similar one. I remember a few years ago when Juno passed by. Juno, Cassini, they all did Earth flybys at one point to head on out to the outer solar system. But next year is going to be more interesting because InSight is going. We've already got the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter there at Mars.
James Webb?
James Webb's going to be a big deal. Yes.
Yeah.
That's finally. It needs to get into space because before it, I sense they're going to be rallying around, and they've done this before in times when money was really tight to try to, they axe everything else at the expense of trying to save this big mission that's going out there. So it needs to get into space.
And Yov, and you were talking a little before that the new Discovery class missions are being figured out, right?
Yeah, there's 2 missions, one going to the asteroid 16 Psyche, which is
the metal.
We think is actually, yes, it's very metal. It's actually, they think this is a core of a planet that never quite formed. So that's going to be an interesting one. And there's also Lucy that's going out to the Jupiter Trojan asteroids. We're going to get about 8 asteroids in the span of about 8 years, I believe, come. But the thing is, when you read the timelines, you're like, wow, they don't launch till 2021, 2023. It's around 2030 they get there. It's like, I'm going to be over 60 by then. I'm getting old. They need to get these things there before, It's 2017 now. I was promised I would be like living on Phobos by now when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, nobody tell Abby that, you just get old and this stuff all just happens on its own schedule.
No.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you've got an early start on the rest of us, and we're really great about that. But yeah, it just keeps dragging on and on.
Talking about Mars missions, I was thinking a few years ago we were all writing about Dennis Tito's plan. Remember to do a Mars flyby?
Yeah.
That was 2018. Well, here it is, 2017. That's a year away now. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh.
It hasn't been talked about, but it's interesting. I remember, I think it was 2014, 2013, they had proposed that. I think they were relying on the idea that maybe the Falcon Heavy would be up and running by now. But
Inspiration Mars, it's called.
Yeah.
So, is there any other missions that you're looking at this year that you are excited about?
Well, actually, at the end of this year, the Google Lunar X Prize competition is going to begin, actually, with the launches of our spacecraft, of SpaceIL, and the other competitors. If everybody get to this point.
Well, the part that I find is hilarious is that a lot of those rovers are on the same spacecraft. So they're going to land at the same time, and then it's going to be a foot race in the end to actually
on the surface of the moon.
Yeah, right on the surface. Yeah, it's going to be a nail biter.
Yeah.
Have you got some kind of like wacky race? I just imagine like you've got some kind of, chainsaw arm on your rover that you can go and take off, the one of the other.
We thought about it, but while most of the groups are planning their rovers, we're going to hop with our entire spacecraft. So it's faster, much faster.
Smart, awesome. Abby, anything that you're excited about this year?
There's a lot exciting going on in 2017, I'm sure, but there's one probe that I'm really excited for in 2020 that I'd like to mention, which is that the UAE is launching the Mars Hope probe in 2020, and I'll be going next week to go and talk to some of the scientists and engineers who are working on it at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. So I'm excited to get to see that in the works. I'm a big buff for climatology and planetary sciences, so that's kind of what gets my goat. So that's the one I'm really excited for.
It is true. It's sort of a kind of a not a lot of big exciting things happening as we're sort of looking in advance, but you never know sort of over the course of the year. Although Tess, I got to agree with David there. Tess could just blow our minds and really bring all of the planets out. And as someone was mentioning in the chat, I really hope it has enough gyros. That's all, that's all we got to say. Just make sure they don't break down.
You got to remember, for transiting exoplanets, for every one transiting, there's probably at least a dozen that just are missing their host star. So we're only seeing a percentage of what just happens to transit from our point of view.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we're sort of nearing the end of our hour. It's time to wrap things up. So I want to give everyone an opportunity to tell us where they can find out more about them. Dave Dickinson, where do people find out more?
Yes, I start 2017 at my usual gigs. I'm AstroGuys with the Z on Twitter. Just passed 10,000 followers. Yay. I'm also AstroGuys at the blog. I'm on Universe Today, writing for Sky and Telescope, Listosaur, and read my book and tell me. I am open to any. As a matter of fact, there was one graphic in there for an event coming up that everybody started telling me, "Hey, you got the wrong graphic in there." I am all about fixing stuff. If we have the
yeah, I mean the way we develop this, it's a Google Doc. We're publishing it as a PDF. We can go back. We can change the book. We can release a new version within an hour. So let us know if
I probably won't change if there's a comma missing somewhere. But yes, if it's something really grievous, I will have it done.
Awesome. It's going to be, from that perspective, it's going to be a great year. I'm really looking forward to it. Remember, everybody, it's your job, if you want us to do this again, to share, get the word out, tell your friends, post a link on Twitter, write a review on your website, and share it to your astronomy discussion forum so that other people can download it and let them know that is their responsibility to help get the word out. That's how this works. Yov, where do people find out more?
I'm on Twitter. I'm Massacrated which is critical mass in Hebrew. But I write in English also on Twitter. So it's basically it.
All right, and Abby, you stuck around for the whole show, so you get a second opportunity to let people know where they can find out more.
How could I not stick around? It was so interesting. You can find me on most social media channels such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube as AstroAbby, as well as on my own blog, astronautabbey.com. You can also find my nonprofit, the Mars Generation, under that title on those social media channels and at our website, themarsgeneration.org.
Fantastic. So I'll remind everybody who's watching this live, if you want to know when we do this show, I mean, we do the show every Friday at noon Pacific time, but if you want to get notified, if you want your phone to freak out when it's about to happen, click on the little notification bell on the Universe Today YouTube channel, and that way you'll get an announcement and you'll be able to join the live stream, unless it breaks, which I'm sure it does. The second thing is, once again, remember to download a copy of the book. Really appreciate it. I'm going to be out in the snow today recording 2 more episodes of The Guide to Space, so don't worry, those are coming. We got lots of great topics this whole year, so we're back rolling again. Thanks to everyone who joined us this week. Thanks to the special guest. Thanks to Abby for just making us question our life choices. And we will see all of you next week. Now, we did Astronomy Cast yesterday. That way is yesterday. This way is tomorrow. So we are not doing an Astronomy Cast after this episode. It already happened. But I think next week we'll be doing the shows together at the same time. So you're free to go now. But as always, don't forget to join the WSH crew, wshcrew.space, and we will see all of you. Hold on, let's just Brady Bunch this. There we go. And we'll see all of you next week. Everyone can wave now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.